Hey guys, and welcome back to another player comparison video. In this video we'll be doing one that's sort of popped up a little bit in recent times with Nick Martin against the likes of Karl Amon, and sort of comparing what we expect from them, their past history, especially with Karl Amon going into the defence last year for Hawthorn, and how we can sort of look at the teams and how they will sort of go in the, for Amon and for Martin in particular. Sorry, I'm trying to find the marks for both sides last year, because there definitely was a spike for Hawthorn, which we'll talk about. So just trying to bring that up. But how Amon and Martin will go, as we both, I think a lot of people expect them both to get DPP into the backline, and that's our avenue to get sort of a top six defender through a midfielder filtering back there. And so yeah, we'll just go through the stats using DFS and also their potential roles, etc., and how that's going to look, and sort of looking at also their teammates and how that's going to affect them. But before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So first off, we have Wheelo ratings here, and I am trying to, if we just quickly go here to no, not others, X-score, no, scoring, it's not in there, marks here, you'll see in the last 5, you have this massive Hawthorn L5 of marks of 118. If we go to 2023 in general, you will see marks in general for Hawthorn was 96. So if we were to just give you a reference point for that, of say they play 7 or 8 defenders, because a lot of this is there an uncontested marks one? Intercept marks, contested, inside 50, M50. Just trying to see if there's any other marks. I wish they had uncontested possessions, uncontested possessions. Here we go. This is probably going to be the best indicator. 251 uncontested possessions. And then if we go to the uncontested possessions, they were up to 267. So a lot of that was just uncontested marks. It doesn't have it here, obviously. But if you look at the marks in general, it looks like 100 and, if that's contested marks, there was 109 uncontested marks in the last 5 games, comparatively to before. If we look at it, there was roughly for them, there was 87. So there's a direct uptake of 22 uncontested marks, and uncontested marks generally go to defenders. So 22 extra marks is about 130 more points in defense. And if you say they have a couple of lockdown players, so most teams go in with 7 defenders and a couple of lockdown defenders, that brings it down to 5 guys to really distribute the ball. 5 guys for 130 points is roughly another 20 or so points per game. And if we do look at the likes of Amon here, you'll see this last 5 that we're talking about here. If we go here, last 6 games, 112.7. And if we look at the last 5, 114.2 with those massive mark numbers of 9, 14, 13, 7, and 4. You can see even in the last 5 weeks, that's 23, 36, 43, 47 marks in the last 5 weeks. And I don't even know if he had almost 47 by the whole season going into the last 5. That's 7, 12, 15, 18, 23, 26, 34, 37, 39, 43, 48. It took him 12 weeks to get the same amount of marks. Obviously, as a wingman, as he did as a halfback. Obviously, halfback, you're going to have more marks, but it just shows the increase in marks in general. And if we go to Sicily, you will see this exact same thing filter through, as he had that massive uptake as well at the end of the year. Even though you can just see last 5 games, 104 average, even though he averaged 104 for the year, so that doesn't really prove the point. Last 6 games, 106. He did have a stinker game against Melbourne. Here you can see, as well as Western Bulldogs, 84. But you can see that big 160 against Collingwood, 19 marks in that. And then you have also down here as well, If you go back, last 9 games, 111. So I think this just proves that Amon will have a little bit of an uptake in, will have had a little bit extra sort of uncontested possession. We sort of see that as well at the end part of the year where teams sort of go a little bit more uncontested possession. So that was what I think personally happened with Amon a little bit. And the one problem I have with Amon is that if he does get this wing role potentially, which could happen if they go with a Weddle or someone else distributing off half back, you can see here just going through as a wingman, he averages 76. And if we go to this Twitter post here, you can see from Pete, if you guys want updates with sort of how teams are training, etc. Pete is the best, one of the best, if not the best to go to. And you can see here with Mitch Lewis, Karl Amon could still be playing wing and there is uncertainty there. So we have to watch in the practice match what his actual role is, because if he does return to the wing, the 76, that is just a dead pick. So there's that. And then you have sort of Nick Martin here. And the one thing I like about Nick Martin in comparison to him is that he already gets the pill quite a decent amount. But the one thing I like about it even more is that he does have these massive floor games as well. And obviously we're not going to say just take out these floor games because he's going to have them. But he has some, sub 70 games. Even he's got 7 games where he averages 54. So there's that. And he does have this really high ceiling without the extreme marks. 32 touches, 6 and 2. You can see here 10 marks in this game, 11 marks in this game as well. So they were higher marks, a 7 mark here for a ton. So it just shows that if he does get that sort of 10 to 15 mark game as well as the kickouts, he could go on. He has that probable 150 potential in him. And that's one of the reasons why I like Nick Martin. And I do think that they probably need a guy who's a little bit better by foot out of the defence comparative to Andy McGrath and Redmond, as they are sort of turnover heavy. But I don't see anyone else really taking too much off of him, to be honest with you. And we've seen also, if we just go here quickly and search up Nick Martin, I don't think he's been cited on the wing anyway. I think he's been sort of just all across the halfback. And yeah, he's taking kickouts at the moment. And if we look at also, if we go to DFS again and we'll just duplicate this to show you guys even more so the fact that the kick-ins for, where is it? Essendon here. If we go to 2023, you'll see here, they had, say he picks up 83 or even just picks up Jordan Ridley or Andy McGrath's kick-out numbers here. That's roughly 4 a game or so, and 4 a game is roughly, you can see here he takes the kick-outs and plays on, but that's roughly 4 a game. That's an extra 12 points right there that we see Nick Martin potentially pick up per game. So that's why I think he is the better choice at the moment. Obviously, this can change going into round 0. Well, they both have the bye round 0, but preseason games will get a better look at it. I'm just more worried about the likes of a Karl Amon on the wing comparative to the likes of a Nick Martin, even though it doesn't really show it too well here because of it. But you can see he's lined up necessarily. I would say more the wing games are more these type of games here. But you can see he does sort of have that potential to go absolutely large on the wing. Yes, he does have the potential to also get like a 60 just because that is what a wing role is. But it seems like he does have the potential to pop on a wing here and drop an absolute big score. You can see 3 tons here. These are still a little bit of a, I would say more of a forward attacking wing role. And that was North Melbourne in itself. But you can see all these games here that I still think they're wing roll games, and he's gone and scored hundreds in 6 games. I would still say this is a wing roll game here. And he's gone 117. So I just think he has a higher ceiling than Amon does. Yes, Hawthorn do have the uncontested mark game. in general over the last 5 comparative to Essendon. But you can see in 2023, Essendon has our 101 marks comparative to Hawthorn 97. And if you go last 5 matches, you will see if we go to where is marks here? You'll see in the last 5 matches, they actually went down in marks per game. So in general, we should see Essendon play more kick around the back comparative to Hawthorn in the general start of the season, unless we see Hawthorn play this real slow style, which I don't expect them to actually play. I think they'll play more of a quicker style, leading to more points potentially in the midfield rather than across the back line, which was happening the end of last year. As you can see here, there was a 25 mark difference between Essendon and Hawthorn in the back half of last year. So I just think that there is more potential for Nick Martin to go up to that sort of 100 that we sort of want from him as a top, because that would lock in a top 6 defender. If we go here currently, you'll see my side a little bit, and you see with Nick Martin, he's got round 14 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, I have quite a lot of round 14 guys. But round 14 isn't too bad actually, because you can just filter back. You can chuck guys up to the round 12 and round 13s, especially round 12s. But yeah, so just looking at that and thinking about Nick Martin, and I generally do think he could be that guy that you at least hold. If he doesn't go well and he goes like a 95 or a 90, then you just hold him until the bye and you chuck him in round 13 or whatever to a round 12 guy. But if he does well enough, you go 100 or so. And what was the Hawks bye round? Hawks was round 15, so they have probably the better bye, to be honest. Round 14 and 15, they don't look too bad, as you effectively get 2 weeks to. You get the round 13 with the 2 teams, as well as the round that they're on in round 15 or 14 respectively, to get rid of them. So it's not too difficult unless you stack like 8 or 9 on there, and that's when it starts to get difficult. But so buys shouldn't be too much of a worry with either of them. Chucking them if they do unders around their buy time, but if they are sort of a top 6 guy around their buy, you can hold them. So I've just spoken about 2 minutes, just going through basically that 10 seconds, that if they're 90, 95 around their buy, you chuck them to a round 12, and if they're over and a top 6 defender, then you just keep them, obviously. But yeah, just looking here at the stats, I think it's a little bit more evident. We have a little bit of uncertainty with Amon. We don't have as much uncertainty with Nick Martin. Essendon generally have more marks per game, uncontested marks, etc. Hawthorn just had that massive spike. If there was one graph out there with Hawthorn marks, if I might, could I search this? This might work. Hawthorn marks. If we go here, does this? Yes, here we go. Here is and VAMS is another really good one to look at, but this is exactly what we were looking at here. You can see big games here. Yes, they occasionally happen, but you can generally see this sort of line here, and this is a great marks per game graph here, but you can see this rounds 20, 21, 22, 23. So the last 4, even the last 5 are around that 100 marker, which would be above their average mostly. But you can see a 135, 138, 137, and then you have a little bit less, but just a massive increase overall in the last 4 games, which coincided with, if we go back to Amon here, the last 4 games from Amon, he didn't play rounds 20, 21. If we go back to that, we're looking for rounds 20, 21, 22, and 23. Oh, but that was their games rather than, so that would be the last 4 games that they played. So 24, 23, 22, and 21. So 22 is that big one that Amon had, and that was this one here. So Amon had a big 138 when they had about 125 marks. So yeah, I'm expecting them to be around this marker here for most of the year. This sort of 95, 90, 94 for most of the year. And if you take away a third of the marks roughly, that's just going, or a quarter of the marks, that's just going to dip his score there. So that's what I was basically trying to say. You have obviously Vams and Pete and a lot of other guys, a lot of track watchers that you should go and follow, like get involved with them, as they can give you a lot better detail, especially with the best 22s that are coming out. Nick Martin wasn't even in the Essendon best 22 according to Fox Footy, so I would definitely refer to the track watchers over anyone else. But that pretty much is the video there, comparing Amon to Nick Martin. Let's actually quickly just go through their percentages at the moment. Nick Martin 2.33% owned, and Amon is actually at the moment 4.5%. I kind of understand that with the community. They're a little bit pottish, but I reckon we're going to see one of them at least do a golden in preseason where they go and score like a 140 or 150, or we potentially see round 0 guys have a shocker, and these guys will be picked up and owned a little bit more. So yeah, there is that concern. Well, not concern, but that sort of fluctuation that's going to happen with these guys. But just watch their ownership, because if they do become guys that are 10, 15, 20, 30% owned, which could happen, then you almost need to jump on just to safeguard yourself off them. So that is just a wait and watch with them a little bit at the moment. But those two are definitely two guys that I'm going to be watching in pre-season, as well as just to see after round 0 what they are owned, and also if they are named at halfback, etc. We'll wait and see on that one. But anyway, that is a review of, or player comparison of, Amon and also Nick Martin, and sort of what do I expect from both of them. If I was to put a number on Nick Martin, I would probably say he's going to go, I think he organises his floor games up, and you don't see those 30s, 40s, and 50s. What did he have? 5 games for 55, his bottom 5 scores. So I reckon he fixes that up, and he adds 8 or so, or 7 points just because of those fix-up games. Or is it no? More like 3 or 4 because of those fix-up games. Plus, I also think he gets that half-back role, so I think you can add another 7 or 8 points there. So I reckon he is 7, 8, maybe 10 points there. So I reckon he is a high 90s, early 100s type of guy. And I think Amon is just slightly below him at that sort of 90 to 95 role guy, because he is, there is potential, a lot more potential for him to play on that wing, which just kills off his fancy game, it looks like, with the heat maps and stuff like that, and his role last year with Hawthorn on the wing, and also Hawthorn having that high mark numbers to inflate his stats a little bit. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next player comparison. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.